What is it?
Hello, welcome to The Essential Gamer. You're watching What Is It with me, Lee, and what it is Cloudpunk, a dystopian future set delivery sim RP. It's a difficult one to explain. I'll let this guy explain a part.
You're a good driver, but navigating a hover around Nivalis isn't like driving your flat country roads back home. Now this city goes down 100 miles and up 1,000.
So it's a game where you play a delivery driver called Rainier, I think, in a story of her own where she is a country girl thrust into this dystopian future set city, which is very much a mix of things like Blade Runner and The Fifth Element. Obviously we got the hover vehicles, which are straight out of Corbin Dallas's back pocket. I've got some issues with it. It doesn't excite me the way that I would like this sort of Neo-Tokyo dystopian future sky city to excite me. But it is pleasant at times. There are moments when I while playing it, I did sit back and I thought, you know what, this looks rather bloody lovely actually. And it's this sort of back and forth between the two feelings of being relatively disappointed and happy with it that got me with Cloudpunk. So you work for this delivery company that delivers packages for people that don't want their delivery drivers to ask questions. So as you're travelling around the city, you go and interact with named NPCs, and some of these will just be interesting conversations, some of them will be things to do, some of them will be part of the quest, and to be honest, you're not going to want to talk to them for too long. I mean, the best thing is as soon as you talk to anyone, Rainier seems to do this bored yawning animation, which is true to some of the voice acting. Some of it is very, very good for the main sort of characters.
Dear Erwin, we know these toys were important to you at one time.
Others not so good. And as I say, some of the areas as you're flying to your next destination, travelling in your car, it just lets you down. So the game wants you to use this side-on bolt view, and I do not recommend it. As I was playing, I sort of cracked the code as to making it feel and look that much better for me, and that was going into first person. And in first person, Cloudpunk becomes an entirely sort of different thing. You get the sense of scale, you can really see the detail that's gone into the pixely, voxely art style. There was some performance issues as I was playing on PS4. I had a little bit of what seemed to be almost screen tear, and I don't know why. But in first person you can interact with the NPCs much better.
Let's see either your citizen license or your voluntary contribution.
It's definitely the best way to do the challenges and the little puzzles and things that pop up. There are different activities to do while out of your vehicle. A lot of the time is spent driving from one location to another, but when you're not in the hover vehicle, you can really sort of get involved with the city.
What is up, listeners? This your boy Rory Alpha giving you a shout out from Midtown.
I mean, it's not GTA, but you'll find bits and bobs out in the world that will help you along. Some of these will be interactable, so have an effect on your character, stimuli, and other bits will be things that you can sell or you can use in other ways later on. And it sort of promotes this exploration of the city, which is worth doing, as I say, in first person to get the best experience. And the different areas, but you have to travel between different parts of the city via these hover thingies. There's a very long convoluted reason as to why the hover vehicles are locked to a certain height and things like that, and I could have explained it in the length of the loading screen between each of the areas. You'll get used to seeing this as you travel between multiple areas in almost every delivery mission, and this is when the performance suffers the worst as it's loading in and things like that, and you get the sort of judder. The areas themselves are decently packed. Say they are quite varied and they do look different. Each one you can sort of tell that you're in a different area, and it's quite satisfying to look at. But the map itself, they're not huge, and for the amount of loading in you do, it gets a little bit annoying. The inventory management is fairly simple. Some of the things you can sell, some of the things you can't, some of them are part of missions to come, that sort of jazz. In between the flying, the delivering and the running around, you go back to your home, your flat, your apartment, whatever you want to call it, which you can adorn with things with the money that you earn doing the missions, as well as spending the money you earn on gas to do more missions. This was the only real moment where I felt like I was experiencing the Blade Runner-y future city. Wow! As I walked out of my apartment onto my balcony. Besides that, there's a few times, like I say, where I don't quite get it, and I want to like it more than I do. So, to be honest, Cloudpunk is a very different attempt on this sort of thing. It feels like a mashing together of, as I say, Blade Runner, The Fifth Element, and some of those sort of indie tropes that we come to love. So I'd say if you fancy a dystopian future that isn't cyberpunk because that got delayed, why not try Cloudpunk? As always, if you got anything out of this video, please do like and subscribe, and if you haven't, tell me why. I'll get in my hover vehicle and fly into the clouds. Punk.